Like I promised, I got a lot of tips and tricks. I've been a professional painter for over 30 years, so if you want something to know about painting, I'm the guy to ask. I'm also a homeowner, and I know a lot of tricks about fixing things in your house, so you don't have to pay a lot of money. Lastly, I know a little bit about cars, enough that I keep mine going at all times. Anyway, my son and I just painted our church, and they like this color blue. In this room, all we had to do was spot prime the spots, marks and stuff where kids came in kilts, and then we went 2 coats, cut and roll. And so that worked out okay. Doors are a little more tricky because this door here had all kinds of bad places in it, and I had to patch it with drywall mud. Well, the thing is, when you patch it with drywall mud and you do it semi-gloss paint, you must remember to sand the drywall mud spots with a sander, not with the sponge, but with a professional drywall sander, where it be a pole sander. Just take the pole off and use your hand, because you don't want to put pressure around the edges. If you do, you'll give the door mumps. And you'll know what I'm talking about with mumps, because it has spots here, spots there, just poking out. Another thing about it is, if you prime the door, this door had to be primed in kilts because it was sealed. And anytime you have stain or sealer and anything shiny, lacquer also, you must sand the shine off and prime it in kilts. Oil-based kilts at that. That's the only thing I use to get the best results. So, anyway, what I was saying is, after you do the drywall patching and you sand it with the sanding pole sander or hand sander, but not a sponge and not paper, then you spot prime all the spots that were there in kilts also. Because I found out, with this being semi-gloss paint and you're doing a 1-coat coverage, those spots will come back, and every one of them will show. This in here was done in 1 coat, and I just figured this out. It's been a while, but you can see what I'm talking about if you look real close right there. It's not bad, but it's not good either. And if you can focus on that spot there, you can. Okay, now let's move on. Mildew problems up to 8 inches on the wall. With that, you scrape the kilts off. Water was coming in. With that, you scrape the mildew off, and then you kilts it twice. And it wouldn't be bad to do it a 3rd time, but what you're doing is sealing the wall from water penetration. And if you could tell, there's some dark spots up there where you can see that the water actually comes on the floor now. It seeps on the floor and evaporates, which is kind of, in a way, solved this problem already. See the spots over there where they're dark by the radio? That is where the wall is sealed. You can't call me a liar now. That's where the water's coming on the floor. It used to come off the wall and develop mildew. So when the water comes on the floor, it just evaporates. So that solves that problem. These are the cabinets we've done. Get my son to take a few pictures of it. That's all 1-coat coverage. I try to do my absolute best when I paint. That is my trademark, and I love to paint. It's not a lucrative job. You gotta love it to be able to do it. And finally, one more thing. These cabinets here, same problem. I filled it up where the holes were with mud, patching. And I sanded it, and then I painted it. But I should have kiltsed it, because it was already kilts once, but I should have kilts over the drywall mud. 2 reasons. 1, it keeps the dust down. And 2, it will ensure that your last coat is all you need to do. So I had to touch up the bottom of this where I repaired it. No big deal, but it's a little bit aggravating. Well, that's some of my tips, and I will give you a lot more as we go along. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it helps you save a lot of money, because that's the reason I've done it. Fight the alert, be informed, but be careful and be safe. Thank you. Hi, this is Tommy again. I want to show you one more thing, another tip that you must take in consideration. These vent ductworks are metal, and the church wanted me to paint them. So to do that, you have to prime it in oil-based kilt. Same thing, because it will bleed through if you try to paint it with just any paint. The reason being is because it gets cold and there's moisture, and whenever the moisture blows through, it's going to leave water rings. Now, I would suggest, I'm going to tell the people at the church this, my members and friends, family, that they need to put a trap on one end, on the primary end, the end that, the first end. If possible, if moisture does come through too much, it can still come through the ventwork. But if that ever happens, all you do is spray it with kilts and repaint that one section. This is glossy paint, however. You can't just touch it up. One thing about gloss paint, you cannot touch it up with a brush. If you're crafty and clever, I've been known to be able to touch it up with the roller. Same as satin, same as semi-gloss, and also eggshell. Only thing you can touch up with a brush is flat base oil paint.